Welcome to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, the City Beneath. I'm Grant Howitt, and I'm joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. In these episodes, we'll be going through the text of the book and discussing how we came to design the game. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com. What's that smell? Heresy!
You've been waiting to do that for a while, haven't you?
Smells like any thread about Games Workshop in here. When those really funny wags come along and say that what you did was heresy. Because he doesn't look like the spaceman at the front of the fucking box.
Oh, it's like paranoia all over again. Anyway, Heretic.
Treason.
Welcome
Heretic.
to the Heart Director's Commentary on
Yes.
Heretic.
Which is
Not on
definitely
us
us.
moaning about other games.
Yeah, not at all. No, this is us talking about our games. Heretic. Heretic is a religious outcast. We don't do a lot about the whole outcast bit.
No, that's very much left to the imagination. There's hints here and there.
Yeah.
Like you can get a shard of the temple door.
Mm-hmm.
There's hints to various purges and witch trials and all sorts of links through other stuff in other sections. But we never just go, right, here's the straight dope on the Heretic.
We also... But now, here's the straight dope on the Heretic. We really like Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne's great, isn't it?
I love Bloodborne. I'm not good enough to play Bloodborne. I'm aware that the solution to this problem is to get good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is the official thing, but I'm all right at that front. I find it very frustrating, but I appreciate that it's a good game, and Chris is significantly better at it than I am.
I did, in fact, get good.
Chris did get good, but the thing which I really liked about Bloodborne is it's tremendously vague about its fiction. And at the start, it's like, okay, listen, there's a bunch of blood in you. Maybe there's vampires or werewolves. It's not entirely clear. Go duff up some pale giants in a burning city. And then about 10 hours later, they're like, aliens!
Now it's Space's problem.
Space aliens from the moon! And yeah, it's really fun because they talk about, it's that sort of eldritch horror, that sort of Cthulhu, Azazoth grade madness. But it's all like they tell it through the way that it impacts human minds.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting that the baseline of that world is messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like in traditional Lovecraftian horror, there's the cosmic horror. Sorry, I'm trying to get Lovecraft out of this. In cosmic horror, the baseline is normality. The baseline is what you or I see every day, and then oh no, monsters. Whereas Bloodborne starts from like a 9 on the weird scale.
There's not a single toilet.
There's not a lot of toilets in a lot of games. But yeah. But it starts off weird, and then it changes the weird.
So gross as well. It's really upsetting.
Beautiful.
It's fucking crow dogs, man. That's the other thing which inspired us in terms of Annihilation. And other things which we drew from. Bloodborne is also big. And the Heretic is the Bloodborne class, that we wanted to have someone who was worshipping a god which drove you mad.
Yeah.
And the way we wanted to talk about a thing which drives you mad without getting too tentacly was the idea of the moon beneath, which is also our rather tongue-in-cheek way of talking about religious schisms.
Like, we filled Spire with religious schisms as it was.
Yeah.
But what if that, but more?
One of the things which always gets me is how Protestants and Catholics have this deep, enduring hatred for one another and, like, centuries of violence against each other. And they have broadly the same beliefs.
Yeah.
And I get that there's more to it than that, but I think I wanted to sort of talk about the fact that, yeah, you worship this, and also, weirdly enough, there is actually a moon underneath the ground which you can go to. Because that's significantly easier to walk than it is the one in the sky. I think like we had the Moon Garden in Heart back in Spire. And yeah, we just wanted to take Lejeanne. It was already a bit weird, the priest class. I'm gonna say I think Lejeanne's my least favourite class from Spire.
I think honestly, The Lejeune is everybody's least favourite.
It just feels like a cleric, doesn't it?
Like, that's the problem. It just feels like a cleric. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of the interesting things about Lejeunes and heretics and that sort of stuff is what you do with them.
Mm.
They're not flashy on the outside like maybe a Bound is.
Mm. Yeah, or a knight.
But it's when you look at their place in, especially in Drow society, and the importance of their words and how they act and the way they interface with both God and people, it becomes really interesting. But if you read it, you go, it's a cleric, and then you look to the next thing.
On we go. Look, they've got healers. Cool. Brilliant.
Yeah. And like 10% of us wanted to keep that little nugget of cleric in there.
It's nice to have something to hold on to.
Yeah. But we also wanted to go full Bloodborne with it.
Mm-hmm. And so we wrote those of you who were with us from the playtest onwards, you will note that the minor abilities of the Heretic are broadly the same. There's a few which we've tweaked things, but they're broadly similar. The mages have had a complete overhaul. Yeah. Because we were really struggling trying to work out what was interesting, and like all the ones we wrote were like, okay, well that's an area attack spell which hurts everyone, so that's your entire party as well. This one's much more suited to the Vermissian Knight or the Hound, because it was like, I think it was like an aura defense power. I think we still got that actually looking around somewhere. But we needed to refluff the abilities and from that come up with a new way of coming up with more, because you need 5 abilities, 5 mages for each class,
and then you need to be able to produce a way of modifying that that one ability 3 times.
Yeah, which is possibly a difficult challenge to set yourself, but I think that like talking about the way that it's set up, I can see a lot more difference between heart characters of similar classes than I did with spire characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think players feel much more empowered to put their own spin on the class, which are already pretty weird, right?
Exactly, yeah. And the way that some of the mages work for the Heretic are super interesting. Like, you've got the fairly simple and obvious and useful ones, like Oath of Community. Gives you blood protection. You can give somebody else blood protection. Blood protection. Don't die. It's preemptive healing, right? And then there's Oath of Fury, which is, as far as I can tell, an unbound power.
It's the most complicated power in the game, I think.
Yeah. So it's got different avatars that you can change into to represent different facets of a threefold goddess. And it's cool as hell, but also, brace yourself.
Yeah, like I cannot recommend taking all 3 minors.
No, the concept of Oath of Fury was that you take 1, maybe 2 minors, or indeed none. You don't have to take any. But it with a lot of powers, there's an assumption to some degree that your advancement path is completing all the minors. You absolutely don't have to, but that's a thing, right?
These sit very separate.
Yeah, this changes the power to a different power, and it's hard to get your head around like where its place is. But once you figure out that you're just meant to do one of them, then its place becomes obvious rather than completely obfuscated.
I think as well, like there's something quite fun. We want to try and get across the idea of in the Oath of Fury, the idea of ritual garb, the idea of preparing yourself.
Yes.
By dressing as a certain aspect of the goddess, you're empowered in that way, and that really fits into the organized religion vibe of things, as opposed to, say, the junk mages making up as they go along. You'll note on the box out on page 44, there are 5 abilities, and they are themed after the Damnic virtues. I keep nearly calling them the Drow virtues, but not all Drow follow them. It's Domnu is the god, and Damnic is Domnic is the, I suppose, the adjective coming off that, which are tenacity, sagacity, fury, community, vigilance, and grace. And yes, these were at one point in Spire a stat line.
Mm-hmm.
This is what characters we're going to have instead of strength and dex.
Yes.
But we fucked that off to one side. but they stuck around. You'll see.
Yeah, like it's still a core tenet, but it's a narrative tenet rather than mechanical.
And it's quite a nice way of saying, hey, here's how it's different from Catholicism.
Yeah.
Hey, here's how it's different from what you think of. Like, when someone says organized religion, here's how it's specifically different from that. But we couldn't come up with one for grace. We just couldn't do it. So
you
somebody
go
stole
fast,
grace.
you can do good balances, you can now juggle.
Yeah, like I guess you get like mastery when you do fuck it.
But we did come up with grace, didn't we?
I don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't think we came up with anything worthwhile.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's slightly more interesting to have it as the Oath of Grace has been stolen, or it's gone. So that's pleasing, and you get the Heretic's quite grab baggy in the same way that the Lejeune was, because they're themed around very much they're themed around the fiction rather than the mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big issues for me with the Lejeune and the Heretic is that they are the class that has the most detail on them.
Yes, that's true.
Simply by default of being the priest class, because you may have noticed we go fairly deep into the old religion in both Spire and Heart.
I'm going to say we go fairly broad.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. We go on about it.
We go on about religion quite a bit.
Yeah.
We do not go on about how the bound in Spire are. Mm-hmm. There's small sections of it, whereas the religion runs through every single part of it. So they're more obvious. That's not the word I'm looking for, but like that's the default.
They're more solidified, I think.
Yeah,
we leave less up to the player. Like anyone can play a worshipper of the goddess of the moon beneath.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like but this is what you're about, mate.
Yes.
And I think that you end up like, well, okay, I'm going to play the Heretic, and everyone knows what they're like. Oh, I'm going to play a cleric of Pelor. I know what they're like. I don't need to know anymore.
Yeah.
About that, and I think that the callings have given players a way to separate that out. So like an adventure Heretic is different from a heart song Heretic, is different from a penitent Heretic.
Yeah, I mean, in my playtests, the Heretic just had a shotgun. And that was it. Like they were more shotgun than they were priest.
I'd like to talk about the weapons.
Yes, the weapons.
We haven't spoken about the weapons actually.
No, but in a lot of cases they're essentially and sword.
Mm-hmm.
But in Heretic there is one weapon specifically that has persisted through every single variation of the Heretic, which is the Spire Black Brazier.
Mm-hmm.
Which it has two modes. It has lit and unlit. And unlit, you hit people with it.
Yeah, it's a stick.
But lit, it's on fire. Let's not forget it's on fire. And like this choking cloud of smoke and herbs and incense is being whirled out of the censer. Like,
I've wanted to put in a censer. A censer weapon.
You'd think we'd have called it a censer rather than a brazier, which is a thing you just put on the floor.
Well, when you say when you say Spire Black censer, it sounds like you're trying to cut out Spire Black. Whereas when you say Spire Black brazier, fuck,
we're screwed either way. But yes, it's a censer. It's a metal ball on a chain.
Yeah, with holes in it.
It's not like a barbecue.
It could be like it could have coals in it, whatever.
Spire Black fire pit. Just pushing people in.
Spire Black, one of those big gas things you have outside in smoking areas to keep you warm.
Spire Black candle.
You just push it over. You will note that there's also the breech loading pistol and Seeker's blade. Don't know what the fuck Seekers are. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's for more of the sort of I'm gonna be a combat focus. I'm gonna be serious. I'm seeking something. And then the scripture etched bandages and blessed oils and staff are more. I'm gonna be a traditional healer character. And one thing which we tried to do is give every equipment choice that you pick tells us something about your character.
Yeah.
And before, the choices you had were Spire Black Brazier, Double Barrel Shotgun, sawn off, and because like that's a pretty cool thing to have for a preacher, and something called a Relic Maul, which we did not explain.
No.
I'd like to think it was like a bit of marble from like a banister.
I don't know, like in my head it was like one of the character columns.
Yes.
And like this beautiful piece of art that you are just mashing people into the dirt with.
I'd like you've got maybe just like the leg, and you've put a handle on it, and you've painted and adorned it with rosary beads. We thought that was really cool. However, it did exactly the same job as the Spire Black Brazier, and was less interesting.
And wasn't on fire.
And wasn't on fire. If you want to have your relic club, which you fell in love with during the playtest, simply here are the stats. It's kill d6, brutal, conduit.
There you go. A little extra content for you there.
Have fun with it. Yeah, that's simply play this podcast to your GM in its entirety.
It's legit.
So they are a little bit all over the place, and I'm happy with that. I certainly wanted to get across the idea that they are part of a larger organisation, and while they each have their own personal relationship with the goddess, who is a literal moon who lives underneath the earth, and I keep saying she's pregnant. Sorry, Fecund. Keep referring to her as pregnant. Never go any further on that. We're not sure what I'm getting at there.
I think it's best we leave it, honestly, just because we've got wiggle room in the future.
God, imagine when the moon hatches. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then the three Zenith abilities are all very. So Glory is directly ripped from the Bible. I think it was one of the prophets. Ezekiel, I think.
Sure.
He saw God's ass. Was it Moses? Anyway, there's one of the Ezekiel who saw God's ass. I think it was Moses who saw God's face, like he met him and spoke to him directly. And by all accounts, like the reflected glory off his face was so much that people went mad by looking at him. And I was like, well, I'm putting that in the game.
Having that, yeah.
Having that, thanks. So you auto heal, and you also get like it's one of the more deader you can be.
Yes.
We've also got you can become an angel of the moon beneath,
which I'm really happy with, because it's this nice counterpoint to becoming what we've described in the book as an angel. Like, it is the identical opposite, is the best way I can think of putting it. Like, one is this horrid wet meat thing made by the heart, and the other is like three lions in a wheel made of candles, and they're essentially the same thing.
You roll 60-10 when striking at those who would threaten the faithful or desecrate sacred ground, and all their actions automatically fail.
You can't not hurt someone.
And I'd like to say as well, Testament of Faith has my favourite activation.
The requirement,
condition,
yes.
Requirement for power I've ever written, which is to activate this ability, die a martyr's death.
Oof.
Which I really like that like it's an afterthought, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, you get to be like, well, this is a church now. Enjoy the rest of the campaign. I want to make this place a church, and you get to have your a holy site put up around your corpse. I think it's pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Glory's the fancy one. Glory's the one I go for.
All right, let's move on.
Let's.
You've been listening to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, The City Beneath. I was Grant Howitt, and I was joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com.